Welcome back to Combust Astrology. My name's Liv. Let's go ahead and get into it. So I'm going to be covering Saturn and Aries for Gemini rising, Sun or Moon, if you prefer to look at it that way as well. Okay, my Mercurials. You guys have been insane, that's for sure. But even more so now, you guys are getting sick. And also sick of everything that's going on. So why would this transit be even more so impactful for you guys than anything else? Why is my sound on? So let's talk about what it is that you've been having to deal with before we even get to the Saturn. The struggle, as I would say, for you guys. So we've been having Uranus sitting in your 12th house. All right, so we're destabilizing the one thing that you guys cannot live without, not money, your peace of mind. Because of your 12th house, your rising sign makes even more sense. In order to have a stable life, you guys need to make sure you're versatile enough to create that for yourselves. So it's like in the younger days of living, it's a lot of working. So that way, after 30, 35, you can be more of your rising sign and you don't have to think so much about changing and adapting and all of that in order to get exactly what you need. Because then your fifth house can be Libra. It can be fun. It can be social. You know, you guys are very social butterflies with that Sag rising. But because Uranus has been going through here since 2017. It's been an uphill battle from what seems to be peace, right? It's kind of been like that for a little bit, you know, between Pluto having been in your 8th house and then Uranus when it was also in Aries. It's not like it's been the most easiest of stuff, especially if you're in your in your 20s and you've been living with this. You really don't know peace. But hey, look, Pluto's in your 9th house. It's time to level up, right? Cool. But let's talk about Saturn in itself and where it was at. So Saturn was sitting in your 10th house here for a long period of time. So it's been like, where the hell is, let's just say Alex? Because Alex has been too busy, preoccupied on how to get this money. It's been very difficult, especially as Saturn kind of had the square to your rising. You know, I look at this and I'm like, if you didn't have money, you would be getting sick a lot. You would not be feeling well because you'd be so preoccupied on doing everything you can. Even though this transit was really about a faith thing just as much as, you know, the axis that I talked about. The mutable axis is about faith. So Jupiter here was kind of testing you along with Saturn to show you that in the end everything will work out, but you just got to not worry every single day of your life. Right, and as we go on to this faith, with the whole conversation about you getting sick, if you didn't address your clear issues of that faith, you get sick. You don't get to go out and be as adventurous as you'd like, but also the home becomes the only place of refuge. And even then, with that 4th house, now the home becomes something that you need to kind of work on and work towards, right? So it would never be truly peaceful. And so it was it was quite a transit. And with Neptune having also been there for a long period of time, all you've ever wanted was that dream job and that dream life and whatever it is, so that way you can live that life that you want. But this transit kind of came in just to be like, are you sure that's really what you want, or are you just going completely out of comfort and stability, and therefore you really didn't need to do all the things that you did? But, you know, now that you know, you're like, well, I can either finish it or not. Either way, change is on the horizon. And I'll cover that more when I do cover the Uranus video, the Uranus transit, because I believe that one's the most like important one with all this stuff for you guys especially. But when we come back to where Saturn is at in this chart, we look at your 11th house. So I just went through this transit, and I'm going to tell you personally how it is. Granted, I went through it with Pisces, but I'm going to tell you right now, go ahead and say goodbye to all your friends. Whereas Pisces it was very like unseen for me. It was very unexpected, I would say. Hmm. Saturn in Aries in your 11th house will go out of its way to just make this quicker for you. I think that's like the bigger, like, niceness that you'll get from this. It'll be very immediate how there are lines and there are boundaries or there are levels. And so it's not like you're like new to this or anything because, you guys see power like really quickly because of your subconscious or emotional houses are earth. So it's like, where do I got to go to, like, fit in? Growing up, you had to be the most useful child to be accepted. And then now when you go into the corporate world, when it comes to the financial matters, you realize that, there's a structure. Who do you have to be friends with? Yada, yada, yada. And then, of course, for your own stability, been saving since you were right out the womb with that 12th house, or at least desiring to have such a stable lifestyle that you've been obsessing over that, right? Now, when you come back to Saturn now, it squares that 8th house. It opposes that 5th house, and it squares that 2nd house. So my biggest advice going through this, especially if you're having your Saturn return, is that when it comes to your friendships, keep it very cordial. And you know how to do that with the 5th house in Libra, right? Obviously, look at where your Venus placement is. You already understand that. But even more so, try to be very mindful of what you say about where you've come from, and then also what your intentions are. I think you guys have the ability to be fake, nothing personal. And I'm not just like trying to come after Gemini risings. I'm sorry if you guys are hearing my cat taking a dump and cleaning herself. Amara. Whatever it is, every time I record, she has to either meow or use the bathroom. And she must be a perfectionist because she's scooping for like ages. Anyway, I guess you guys now know what my cat's name is, and also my cat. No one else is going to know this because next time I record, I'll make sure to put her in the room. So going back to that, making sure that, okay, I got to pause this. She's gone too far. Okay. Interrupting my channel. So the 5th house, right? What was I going to say? Oh, right. Yeah. You got to be very mindful. Okay. Yeah. You guys are fake. Nothing personal. Nothing personal. So the she just took a dump and went straight to eating. That's insane. So the whole fake thing, right? Okay, Gemini rising, versatility. Mercury is in your 4th house, right? So you got the trauma of having to be whoever you got to be so that your parents see you one way, your friends see you one way, yada, yada, yada. People can call that code switching, whatever. But for you guys especially, and right now with the nodes being in your 4th and 10th house, even more so, it's been asking you to let go of having to be the perfect child, the perfect daughter, son, the perfect whatever, you know? Try not to default to that because at the end of the day, if you're living your life from the scope of what it is other people need you to, you're not living. And Jupiter, having finished going through your 1st house, has been trying to teach you that you're bigger than what you are. But if you don't listen to that and you don't believe that, well, you're going to be sicker than what you thought you could be. Right? And now as Jupiter goes into your 2nd house, the money is coming. This is some Warren Buffett type of thing, by the way. Warren Buffett has Jupiter in his 2nd house, if I remember correctly. I don't know if he's a Gemini rising, but I know he's got Jupiter. And I can't remember if he's a Scorpio rising and he has Jupiter in Sag, or if he's a Gemini rising and he has Jupiter in Cancer. But yeah. You need to make sure that you understand that the money is coming, right? Now, I actually know a few Gemini risings, and I don't know what it is with y'all having finished school or just finished starting a business and whatever, but like the money is actually coming. And it's ironic how 2 of them specifically on the day of not only Jupiter entering their 2nd house, but then one of them is for around the week of Uranus going into their 1st. So it was like, wow, it's so literal for them. But keep in mind, Saturn is going to square that upcoming Uranus, but sorry, square. It's going to sextile the upcoming Uranus, and it's going to square the Jupiter, right? When Neptune and Saturn conjunct, it's going to be more of like okay, I have more, but now with more comes, like I got 99 problems. Wait, no, that's not the right quote. More money, more problems, or like, at new levels, new devils, or stuff like that, if that makes sense. Because Saturn conjunct Saturn conjunct Neptune. I don't know if I said Jupiter or not. Sorry. Saturn conjunct Saturn conjunct Neptune is it's kind of a test of, can you make genuine friendships now? Not the socialite, I need to present myself as this, be there for this, just to be able to fit in. Because that's the fifth house Libra shit. And y'all don't have to do that no more, okay? Because it's like, you don't need to suck up just to get what you need or to fit in. Can you be your own independent? And this is where I'll talk about my own. Saturn in Pisces removed a lot of friendships in what I was doing with my career because of lifestyle. And it no longer was valid because I wasn't living that lifestyle, right? Pluto had fun in my 10th house, I'm going to tell you that. And as I kept going and I was outside of it, thankfully, I'm a very strong-willed person, so the lifestyle itself never got to me in order to make me like, oh my God, I can never leave this. It was never that. I've come from poverty, so I never really was phased by it, because I'm like, if I have a house, if I have no car note, no debt, I have food, I'm better than most people, and therefore, in my mind, I'm satisfied. Not because I'm better than most people, but because I know how much it is to struggle to not get a means and to not have food, to be homeless. And so, not being around that environment anymore, I could see it from the lens of what I knew before the whole transit and be like, oh, okay. So people just vanished with the Pisces aspect. But with Aries, I feel as though you might have to argue a little bit more. And you guys can argue to stake a claim if it's about achieving. But now it could just simply mean like the friendships that you've had because of the environment that you were in. Environment's probably going to shift because you're going to change, right? So you're going to have to come to terms with the idea that a lot of people make friendships and relationships out of convenience, and outside of that convenience or distance, it fades away. But with you, you're so rooted on, once I start something, it has to be structured for the long term because of your 8th house in Capricorn. But it's like, I would rather lean into the Cancer. If people aren't kind to you or long term to you, don't be long term to them. And use the opposition of Libra to be like, but I can still say hi every now and then, but I'm not about to do all that extra, right? The Saturn will trine your 7th house. So as you're growing and evolving, it's going to be like, all right, but let's be chill, right? It's going to trine that 3rd house. And I think that'd be great for you to shut your mouth. Now, you guys aren't going to just walk around talking about money. So that's a good thing. That 12th house Taurus is very secretive because your 6th house Scorpio is like, you don't know what I do every day. You don't know what type of moves I'm making. You know what I do, but you don't know, right? And coming back to this, the Saturn in general is going to test you about that friendship aspect, the fun that you're having. Are you going to kind of like work for the rest of your life, or are you going to take time to actually be like, no, I need to have fun? Force yourself to have fun, not study, have fun. Okay? And that's on the sextile to Pluto versus the opposition to the 5th house Libra. Have fun, please, for the love of God. And that's pretty much it. I'm actually going to make that a little chapter title. Have fun. Because it's imperative that you kind of sit back and you realize life is not about the achievement towards stability, because nothing lasts. And if Saturn and Pisces taught you anything, it's that nothing lasts. I know you guys are mutables. I know you guys know friendships may not necessarily last, even though you try so hard. But that also involves money. So take it in, enjoy it, and I hope that this Saturn transit makes for a very fun time as you smile and wave at the people around you. Okay, thanks, bye. Wait, I gotta plug myself. You didn't just listen to me for 14 minutes just for me not to plug myself. Um, yeah, if you need me, if you want to book a reading, I have taken a little break from the readings. I am obviously still okay um, to do readings, but I'm thinking about doing like once or twice a week just because I don't know what I unlocked, but I unlocked something with Saturn or these placements in my 12th house, and I intuitively now channel so much and I connect so much with people that I'd rather read less. So if you need to schedule a reading, you can. I think I'll be taking the hour and a half readings off the table because, listen, if we got a yap for an hour and a half, go see a therapist. And also, if you would like to watch more videos like this, I do have a TikTok, Combust Astrology. I need to post on it again. We'll see. I teach in person and online. In person, if you live in Winston-Salem. Online, if you use Meetup, I teach from that. And then also, if you are looking for updates, transits, and daily stuff like that, I also do Instagram. So I post what's going on there. Please do not message me asking me about random transit questions. Just book a reading. It's never just as simple this or that. We got to break it down. So, with that being said, thank you so much for watching. Have a marvelous rest of your day and good luck.